And I see some very prominent people there. I'm just looking at
Yes, I can see lots of interesting people to have conversations with right now.
Good. Look forward to.
Yes, I think some great questions will be coming up tonight.
I look forward to that. I'm going to learn from you all, and I'm sure we are all concerned equally about what's happening in Afghanistan. And maybe I'll start with that because to me, this is part of the need to redesign the world.
True. But while I was reading your books and your information, and you have a lovely podcast, actually. And in that too, I kind of felt there's so much for us to learn from your writings and your thoughts for ourselves even, because I think when we're better human beings, we become better societies and things like that. So I think we could have...
It is not rocket science.
Yes. But it's interesting from telecommunications, from technology to bring in human element is nice. That you have been...
Human being first and then telecom engineer.
I'm glad to hear that. Because we hear lots of theories about the new technology, but it's going to be harmful for us. So that's another conversation.
I can talk forever because I've spent now, 57 years in IT and telecom.
Oh.
I'm 80 years old.
MashaAllah. In Oman, we will say MashaAllah and God bless you. And may you write more books.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I know my time is running out.
I don't think so. I think there must be a lot more that we need to receive from you because the great thinkers are, where we can get our inspiration from. Our panelists also are very interesting. Shaddad is a young journalist from Oman. He's a very good writer.
I want to interact with other people.
Yes.
I want to interact with the world now.
Yes.
Than just US and India. I've spent my life in US and India. And now I want to interact with other part of the world.
I also want to introduce you, sir, to Colonel Dr. Abdul Wahab al-Balushi. Yes. He has a very good background, of course, security, his scenario and aviation later on, but I know him as a life coach. So whenever I need inspiration, I go to Colonel Abdul Wahab al-Balushi. So he's also a very, very interesting person you're going to meet today.
Well, Colonel,
yes. And of course, all of them here, all the panelists, Dr. Sandhya with a very wonderful background in about Indians and the migration, and then we got Dr. Samuel, who's also an excellent life coach. If you go to his office, it's very exciting because he's got all these positive messages all over, including the steps. So very inspirational. And of course, we have Miss Jane Jaffer, MBE, and she has a very interesting background. She's an educator. She's also a yoga expert, a Reiki healer.
Wow.
And yes, she's an entrepreneur too. She had a beautiful concept called Elixir many years ago. And most importantly, she has this campaign called Let's Read. And I hope there's more people supporting that because it's for the children.
Great.
She has a bus that goes around with the books around Oman, plus an open library sort of a thing in the mall. So you have a great collection of panelists.
Thank you.
And of course, Dr. Retnakumar.
Of course.
The man behind this whole event. So we are truly looking forward to this evening.
Okay, let's start then in another minute or two.
Okay.
Are we ready, Annie?
Yes, we are ready. We're ready to go.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. And welcome to Sultanate of Oman for this wonderful event being hosted by BHAVALAYA. What is that manifesto that has the potential to transform our world and take humanity to the next level? In his book, our guest of honor today, the author of the book, Redesign the World, Dr. Sam Pitroda, presents a global call to action. This book is published by Penguin Random House. It urges us to move away from the design that was conceived after World War II that had 5 pillars: democracy, human rights, capitalism, and of course, consumption and military. When we reflect, we realize that when some countries continue to focus inwardly, some countries have been focusing on outward, really creating a market. World is their market. I learned that from his book. The book has 10 chapters, with the first chapter looking into world design at World War II. The following chapters look into tipping points, redesign the world, inclusion, human needs, new economy, conservation and sustainability, and nonviolence, innovation, and the 10th chapter is Manifesto to Redesign the World. To not to be missed, is the appendix. Here, he asks, who am I to write this book? That's a very interesting question. So that is the promise for this evening. This evening, we will hear from the author and the panelists. This evening is yet another step forward, bringing people together through art and literature, which is the aim of BHAVALAYA. BHAVALAYA serves international arts and the community by promoting and documenting work and creativity, at the same time to encourage and stimulate collaborations between artists of various culture and heritage. It has created a universal platform for artists to all origin, nature, and culture. It is a cultural mirror of the art itself and the art it serves. Over the years, since 2010, the organization has been offering a diverse platform reflective of our changing society. And our changing society continues to evolve every day. They also celebrate that diversity through performance and exhibition. Tonight, however, is totally different because we get to interact with one of the most prominent authors in the world today. I invite the founder and the chairman of BHAVALAYA, Dr. J. Retnakumar, to deliver the welcome speech. Doctor?
Good evening, greetings to all of you. Thank you, Lakshmi, for that introduction. I am honored and humble. At the outset, I would like to acknowledge the benevolence of His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq Al Said, the benevolent ruler of this great and revered nation, the Sultanate of Oman. Under his wise leadership, Oman's strategic goals and visions for 2040 underscores the need to see Oman progress as a nation through a participatory approach. And participation across all segments of the pyramid is the key to inclusive growth. At BHAVALAYA, a not-for-profit organization founded by me in 2010, we aim to provide a universal platform to nurture art, creativity, and enrich respect of various cultures and heritage. We encourage and stimulate collaboration between artists of varying culture and heritage. We celebrate diversity through performance and presentation. From BHAVALAYA, we dedicate this evening to all reading enthusiasts. Reading is power, reading is knowledge, reading inspires, informs, challenges, and entertains. And this platform here is to inspire reading and reading that can give back to the society. A warm and hearty greetings to our beloved and respected chief guest, Dr. Sam Pitroda, the guest of honor and author of the book, Redesigning the World. Respected panelists, moderator, the book lovers, and the august gathering out here today. It's an immense honor to be connecting with all of you. On behalf of BHAVALAYA Art and Culture Foundation, I would like to welcome everyone to this special evening. Let me begin with our guest of honor, Dr. Sam Pitroda, who scarcely needs an introduction. He is a legendary and renowned figure in the telecommunication history of India, an internationally respected telecom inventor, entrepreneur, development thinker, and policymaker. A person who is passionate about inclusive innovation, equity, and sustainability. One of his guiding principles is to make ideas, technology, and opportunities widely available, which will drive not only individual success of people, but collective success of the community. On behalf of BHAVALAYA, the panelists, moderator, and the participants, let me extend a very warm and hearty welcome to you, Sir Dr. Sam Pitroda. Our esteemed panelists are stalwarts from several walks of life and have contributed much to the community and society at large. Our moderator, Lakshmi Kothaneth, will be presenting their brief profiles to you. On behalf of BHAVALAYA, I extend a warm and hearty welcome to the esteemed panelists of today, Colonel Dr. Abdul Wahab al-Balushi, Mr. Shaddad al-Musalmy, Ms. Jane Jaffer, Ms. Balqees al-Hassani, Dr. Baby Sam Samuel, and Dr. Professor Sandhya Rao Mehta. We have a brilliant moderator for this event, Ms. Lakshmi Kothaneth, a senior journalist. Our hearty welcome to you, Lakshmi. Book lovers, you have been of immense support and encouragement to all of us. I'm delighted and proud to see you all at one stage. My hearty welcome to all of you. Let me extend my sincere welcome to all the remarkably vibrant and dynamic participants out here. Today, we celebrate the power of a book to bring people together. By participating in our book discussion, you have also inspired us to conduct many more such sessions. Welcoming all of you once again. May you have an enlightening and enriching evening. Over to you, Lakshmi Kothaneth. Thank you all.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Dr. J. Retnakumar, founder and chairman of BHAVALAYA, and thank you for this wonderful evening. We now have Dr. Sandhya Mehta. Dr. Sandhya Rao Mehta is Associate Professor of Global Literatures and Migration Studies at Sultan Qaboos University, Oman. She is widely published in the areas of the Indian diaspora and globalization, with particular reference to the Indian continent and the Indian community in Oman. Dr. Sandhya, let's hear from you.
Hi, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Hello, everyone, and good morning, good evening, wherever you are across the world. So it is a great privilege. Thank you for the invitation, and it is a great privilege. I saw somebody writing that we have known Dr. Pitroda from a long time ago when he was the technocrat in the front pages of the paper. So yes, we do go back a long way. I just thought we'd set up this discussion by setting up some kind of a framework to understand the text and the ideas that it is bringing out, and also end with a couple of important questions, which I think are useful for us to kind of be involved in a discussion. So there is no doubt that the 21st century has brought with it global challenges which are unprecedented in their sheer breadth, scope, and speed, really, the way in which everything is changing in our world. From being a militarily bipolar and then unipolar world we have shifted to where confrontations are more economic and actually digital, leading to massive inequalities, limiting access to even facilities like water and even clean air, to which, of course, everyone is entitled. The pandemic has, of course, only sharpened these inequalities, as we all know. Most importantly, I think, environmental challenges are leading to catastrophic outcomes, and they're just really at our doorstep, but they're still not being adequately addressed because they don't really grab headlines yet, but unfortunately they are beginning to, as we have seen this summer. In such a scenario, Dr. Sam Pitroda offers a range of ideas, and this is a really timely book because it helps to understand the issues which face all of us, wherever we are, and suggests ways of going forward with more equitable solutions using what he calls hyper networks and creating new global alignments with a focus on consensus. So his book, Redesign the World, A Global Call to Action, identifies some issues which are facing us today, like preservation of the environment, maximizing democracy from the grassroots level, really from bottom up, rather than a top-down kind of a focus, and also focusing on an economic model which is based on human, not capital development. So this new global conversation is definitely needed at the present time, and Dr. Pitroda's suggestions, as given in the book, illuminate and show us the way forward and are really also urgent as well. So in such a conversation, we can also explore really what are the challenges, and that's, I think, some of the talking points that I would be really interested in engaging with. What are some of the challenges of implementing such a global order? So how do we move it really from the theory of what should be done to how can it be done? How can these initiatives be disseminated and shared, that is, by the various stakeholders? What is the role of non-governmental organizations and also digital platforms, which are so powerful today? And perhaps most powerfully and most importantly for me, what can we as individuals do to affect this kind of impact in the world in a positive way? So Dr. Sam, I think we really all look forward to a discussion in which I hope that some of these questions, we can all engage in some of these questions. And of course, I'm sure that you will also give us a lot of input on this. So we look forward to a very animated discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sandhya. Now for the moment we've been waiting for, and Dr. Sam Pitroda. He is an internationally respected development thinker, policymaker, telecom inventor, and entrepreneur who has spent over 50 years in information and communication technology and related developments. He is also known to focus on the techno-communication area. At present, he is founder, investor, and chairman of 6 startups and several nonprofit foundations. He's also a founding member of the UN Broadband Commission and chairman of the Powering Initiative at the ITU. His biography was published in 1992, and his autobiography, Dreaming Big, was published by Penguin in 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, Dr. Sam Pitroda with Redesign the World. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Dr. Retnakumar, Dr. Mehta, distinguished panelists, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Chicago. It is indeed a special privilege and honor for me to be with you. I want to thank organizers for giving me this opportunity. I know that Dr. Retnakumar has been working on this for a while. It is important that I get this opportunity because I have been mainly talking to people in US and India. And for me to have this kind of an opportunity to reach out to other countries is of great value. I not only want to talk, but I also want to listen and learn from you. I was born in a small little tribal village in India, in a family of 8, got an opportunity to study physics and came to America 57 years ago. Studied here, built businesses here, and went back to India to work with Rajiv Gandhi on telecommunications. And that gave me grounding and understanding of the power of communication. Then India had only 2 million telephones. Today, India has 1.2 billion phones, and India is a country of connected billion. What does this connectivity really mean? I've been thinking about this larger question. And as I have seen the development in hyperconnectivity, the question I have been asking is, how do we use hyperconnectivity to take human civilization to the next level? This has been on my mind for several years, but during Corona crisis, I was locked up at home in self-quarantine, and that's the time I decided to write this book on redesigning the world. What has been happening in Afghanistan in the last few weeks is an example of the need to redesign the world. After Corona crisis, when people talk about going back to normal, the question I've been asking is, what is normal? What do we mean by going back to what it was? So when I started thinking about all these issues, I realized that the world was last designed just about the time I was born in 1942. That design was led by the US, which ultimately gave birth to UN, World Bank, IMF, NATO, WTO, WHO, GDP, GNP, per capita income, and lots of other global parameters. Then world was bipolar. You had US and you had exactly opposite system led by Soviet Union. US doctrine was based on democracy, human rights, capitalism, consumption, and military. Soviet Union was based more on state control, little respect for human rights, no capitalism, but state control economy, control on consumption, but same focus on military. This design has done pretty well in the last 70, 75 years. Longevity has increased, infant mortality has decreased, transportation, communication has improved, peace has prevailed, millions have been lifted out of poverty, but at the same time, inequality has increased. Poverty has remained. Hunger is still a big challenge. Violence is around all over. And inequality is striking us in the eyes. In addition, we have created major environmental blunders. Global warming, mountains of plastics in the ocean, carbon dioxide, all of these issues are really in front of us that need to be solved urgently. So when I look at last 75 years, I realize that we haven't created any one new global institution to address global challenges. We still live with the old architecture, which was predominantly based on command and control, which was predominantly based on so-called Western interests. But in 75 years, lots of things happened. One, the entire world got decolonized. No one had ever thought that world will get decolonized in 1942. And it happened so fast. The movement led by Gandhi in India ultimately brought end to British Raj. Then rise of China. No one ever thought China will be able to rise the way China has been able to rise in the last 30, 40 years. Fall of Soviet Union, fall of Berlin Wall, rise of technology. Technology has been sort of democratized and become pervasive. When I came to America in 1964, I had never used telephone in my life. I had never seen television. What has happened in the last 20, 30 years is technology has become pervasive. But technology has also brought a lot of inequality. Few people have become very rich and lots of people are very poor. And inequality has increased. Then came 9/11, which in a sense was a response to a unipolar world. That changed everything. And finally, Corona crisis. No one ever thought that a small little virus in middle of nowhere in China will put entire world on pause. What Corona crisis tells us is that everything is interconnected, interrelated. We are all interwoven. We are all from the same genetic pool. And what happens in one part of the world affects everybody. So the lesson that I learned from Corona crisis is that there are only two important things in life. One, planet. We must take care of our planet. It means fresh air to breathe, clean water to drink, ocean to preserve our marine life, forest, trees, rivers, animals, birds, bees, we are all connected. And we cannot isolate ourselves. Planet Earth doesn't need us. We need planet Earth. So planet is in pain today. And we must take care of planet first. And it is important for us and for our next generation. I tell many times that my grandparents gave me planet which was simple, clean, but poor. I am leaving behind for my grandchildren, planet that is rich, complex, but polluted. Second important thing is people. Irrespective of what we look like, what we believe in, what religion we follow, what language we speak, what food we eat, we are all connected. We must respect each other, our diversity. We must provide dignity, and we must be open to our diversity and respect the fact that we can have a conversation. So ultimately, if these two things are important, what are the challenges today? So when I go back and look at the old design, I come to conclusion that one, we need to build on what we have. We need an evolution and not a revolution. There are lots of good things in what we have. We have done lots of interesting things, and I think rule-based order is a great gift of America to the world. But we have to follow. So when I look at world design today, I find that there are two real models today. One is the American model, which says continue with democracy, human rights, capitalism, consumption, and military. Strengthen it and move forward. Second is the Chinese design, because now China is the second largest economy in the world, very powerful, and China wants to have their own vision of the world, which is embedded in Belt and Road Initiative. Both of these visions, to me, relate to command and control. What we need is a third vision of the world, which is focused more on collaboration, cooperation, co-creation, communication. And that vision has to bring countries together to have a common dialogue, to make sure that we take care of two things, planet and people. So my proposal is that now that we are all connected, we live in a hyper-connected world, we need to think differently. For the first time in the human history, we are all connected. What does this connectivity mean? Do we use this connectivity to do the same thing we have been doing? Faster, cheaper, better, more efficiently? Or we use this connectivity to do things we have never done in the history before? To me, this connectivity is about content, curation, context. Hyperconnectivity brings about democratization of information, knowledge, decentralization of implementation, and demonetization of services. Everything we do today is basically obsolete. The way we teach is obsolete. The way we provide health services, the way we govern. If we had hyperconnectivity to start with, we'll have different sets of processes. All our processes are old, and we are trying to computerize those. Many times I remind myself that we have a 19th century mindset, 20th century processes, and 21st century needs. So we take education as it is and we digitize it. We take government as it is and we digitize it, as opposed to saying, if we had hyperconnectivity, should government be structured like this? Should education be structured like this? And when I begin to ask that question, I find that everything is basically obsolete. But it requires new mindset. It requires guts to challenge status quo. So I felt that the new design must focus on taking democracy to inclusion, where everybody is included in the society. Democracy is not about a vote. Democracy is about dignity to other human beings, respect for our differences. Vote doesn't guarantee democracy. There are democracies which are authoritarian, and there are authoritarian governments which are democracies. So these old labels we have of capitalism, socialism, democracy, dictatorship don't make sense anymore. In a hyper-connected world, we need new labels. So we got to take democracy to inclusion. None of our societies are inclusive. India is not inclusive because we have caste system. America is not inclusive because Black Lives Matter. You can say same thing in Europe, you can say same thing in China, and list goes on and on. It's a degree of it. Then we need to take human rights to human needs. We live in an era where we can produce anything. The question is, what is that we want to produce? Unfortunately, we wind up producing only for people who can afford to buy, and not for people who need it. So in an era of surplus, where we can feed the world, why are there hungry people? Where we can build homes for everybody, why don't we have homes for everybody? I think we need to ask these questions in a very different way. So I am saying we must provide basic human needs. If that implies guaranteeing minimum income, absolutely. If that implies taxing robots, absolutely. There are new ways to look at, in a hyper-connected world, all of these challenges. Third, capitalism as it is works only for people at the top of the pyramid. We have created more billionaires and poverty has increased. So we need a new economy that does not optimize capital, but optimizes human conditions, environment. We need decentralized approach. We need bottom-up development and not top-down. We need localization, at the same time globalization. But today we have globalization only to optimize profits and not to optimize human capacity. Large number of jobs in America went to China because corporates felt that they can increase their profit by sending labor abroad and not deal with the labor issues. Let Chinese deal with labor issues and we will only make profits. In the process, local people lost jobs. They have no buying power anymore. You did not optimize for local human conditions. You optimize only for profit. And that was the driving force behind present globalization. Fourth, consumption. We need to really stop mindless consumption. I always give my example. I have 700 ties. Now, why do I need 700 ties? It's crazy. But every time I went to speak someplace, they gave me tie as a gift. And I've been speaking for the last 40 years. It doesn't make sense for me to consume so much. I need to control consumption, focus more on conservation. I would rather have few things of better quality than lots of things of poor quality. I don't need 5 cars. But a lot of this is going to change very soon with the technology. So I want focus on conservation, durable products as opposed to disposable products, and sustainability. And finally, I believe time has come for humanity to think of non-violence. We are intelligent enough to sort our problems across the table. And we don't need to kill each other. I'm saddened by what is going on in Afghanistan. I watch this every day and feel depressed, saying, what are we trying to do? At the end of the day, we are killing our own brothers and sisters, no matter what religion they have, no matter where they live, no matter what they eat. Does it make sense in this day and age? So the new design must focus on inclusion, basic needs, new economy, sustainability and conservation, and non-violence. The thing is, how do you do it? Everybody says, can we get started tomorrow? What is the plan? So in the last chapter in Manifesto, I talk about the third vision of the world. And the beginning is a new conversation. All our conversation today is focused on geopolitical equation, trade, technology, financial systems, export, investments, and military. We want to change that conversation globally to inclusion, human needs, environment, non-violence, sustainability. How do we do that? Enough people like us will have to force the conversation. It is a long battle, but it has to start somewhere. A lot of people tell me, oh, your ideas are idealistic, utopian, will never happen. Somebody has to dream. I may not be around to see the results, but I need to plant the seeds. I don't have all the answers. I'm also learning in the process. I want to have a new conversation. Then, for this to succeed, each one of us will have to change. I cannot discriminate against people and say, I am for change. To me, everybody is my brother. I need to protect women as if they are my family members. I need to worry about handicap. I need to worry about hungry. Doesn't matter what nationality or what language. If enough of us feel that way, world will change. So for world to change, I have to change. The existing organizational architecture all over the world was designed 75 years ago. It's all vertical silos. Ministry of Shipping. Do you really need Ministry of Shipping? Doesn't work anymore. You need horizontal organizational architecture with networking and not vertical silos with isolation. All global organizations today are obsolete. They were not designed for hyper-connected world. They were designed for a world which was not connected. Now, these are big ideas. People will have difficult time grasping and understanding because those who are in power have no need to change. And those who need to change have no voice. So we have to give voice to the people who don't have voice. All the rich people have no need to change. They're doing great. They're milking the system. Why should they change? So I think our challenge is to begin new conversation. And I'm delighted that you have given me an opportunity to begin new conversation with you all. I hope to learn from you. I want to respond to your questions. And once again, thank Dr. Retnakumar, his organization, and all of you for this opportunity. I want all the panel members to have interactions, and I look forward to their input and advice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sam. It's truly inspiring, and was trying to take down notes, but your ideas are so much that I think I'll stick to the book as well as my notes and more discussions that will be followed. And I'm more than happy and proud to invite our panelist, Colonel Dr. Abdul Wahab Balushi, who has had 32 years experience in the Royal Oman Police, taking leading roles in the areas of training and human resources, followed by 5 years in Oman Airports Management Company as General Manager of Aviation Security, and is currently serving as the member on the Board of Trustees, Muscat University, member on the Board of Trustees, National Automotive College, Director of Board of Zahra Travel and Tourism, and advisor for international consultants in infrastructure development. Colonel Abdul Wahab Balushi is also a life coach, and his inspiration is Mahatma Gandhi ji. Mahatma Gandhi. Colonel?
Sorry, I'll just unmute. You can hear me, I hope.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
It's indeed a great pleasure to hear you in person, and I'm very inspired by your thoughts, of course, with everything in the book. it's unfortunate we live in a world we live in now. I mean, the design we have now, but as you also know well enough, that the existing design is not a design we chose for a design. Meaning, you looked at 75 years. Now, there is before 75 years and much more before 75 years. Humans being humans, driven by self-interest, those who have the power, and we know that very well. And I was thinking about something you did mention in one of your other meetings, where you said military. You're surprised why people have all these ranks and why people are driven by ranks and so forth. However, I don't want to go too far into that. Realistically speaking, now I like the idea of giving voice to the voiceless. People like myself, how do I go about doing that? Is it by writing articles or having the conversation, changing the conversation only? And if so, why not? And I hope that becomes also an addition to what you have in the book, the redesign, is to say how that redesign conversation can take place about the environment part of it. For example, there are other, for the educational part of it, which I'm very focused. I do understand we have an old educational system world over, and even though there are a lot of attempts to improve that education system, but it's very slow. Like yourself, I also would like to see in my lifetime some real attempt into moving that. So my question, I mean, I like the idea you're planting a seed, and I'm all for that seed. And I think the conversation is very important. That's the third option that you are presenting. But I would like to see also an addition to the book itself as to the focus. For example, take the education, how education can be redesigned. And that would be a good conversation. I'm not going to go further, but I'm highly inspired by what you're saying. Obviously, you saying things that have been said by many, but not the way you have put it. Corona definitely has helped us open up our eyes wider and understand the connectivity, or that we're all in it, as you say. But then, you know, understanding how we can go forward, that conversation should not only be at the level it is now. I think it should be much higher level. Now, I don't know whether that higher level has an interest in getting that conversation going, as we know. But I'm grateful to the ideas. I'm inspired, and I hope we do that conversation becomes larger and takes place. Thank you, Doctor. An honor to be here and honor to hear you.
Thank you very much. Lakshmi, do you want me to respond quickly or wait for everybody?
And I think it's good if you could respond quickly, and then we could go to the next.
I'll just have a quick response because otherwise I'll forget.
Yes.
I agree with Doctor 100%. What he has said is the essence of it. One idea I'm trying to float around now is to set up Institute of Redesign, a global Institute of Redesign with Institute of Redesign in every country. Let's say Doctor here would take responsibility to set up a small Institute of Redesign, no physical infrastructure. It is all on hyper-connected world, where there is an Institute of Redesign in Oman. And we need to talk about redesigning education, redesigning health system, redesigning governance, redesigning, you know, social life. We need to think about redesigning lots of things. But first we need to understand the global framework. And the framework has to be more humanitarian. We have to agree that we will all treat each other with respect, love, We will celebrate our differences. We will have open conversation. So inclusion and all these 5 things that I mentioned, that we will not be violent against each other. We will agree to disagree. Once we agree on those 5 principles, then we set up institutions. Then we say, okay, how do we reform education where it is available to everybody, not just to rich? How do we reform health system? And I'm telling you, even our health systems are obsolete because our health system today is designed to deal with sickness, not wellness. So we have our Ministry of Health is a Ministry of Sickness. So everything I see, I find that it needs redesign. Because the mindset was very old. And we have just put patch on top of a patch on top of a patch. And I want people to know that good ideas don't come just from West. Okay? But we look only to West for good ideas. Good ideas also come from others. And I want to promote that local people have a lot of local wisdom. You don't need global wisdom to solve local problem. You need local wisdom to solve local problem. You don't need joint venture on everything to solve your problem. I think that is the new way of doing it. And maybe we'll look at Institute of Design in Oman. Okay. Create enough 10, 15 people who are interested. Then local problems will be handled. Another issue that Dr. mentioned has to do with top level. How do we convince top level people? Ultimately, G7, G20 will have to realize that our world needs to be redesigned. At that level, if something happens, then people will pay attention. See, my problem is I'm not a billionaire, so nobody pays attention. If I was a billionaire, everybody will pay attention. But then if I was a billionaire, I wouldn't think like this. You know, then I would think of becoming multi-billionaire. Okay. So this is what we got. And we got to make best out of it. But I'm happy that there are people like Dr. here. And I appreciate your kind words, and let's work together. Thank you.
Thank
Right.
you.
We definitely, we need to work together. We have no other choice, but we need to work together. And this
Absolutely.
creating institute, I think it's a great idea. And I think that will help that movement. We need to get the movement going. And I think something like this can actually start it. I mean, for it to grow. I totally
You
agree.
need lots of people to join.
Yes, definitely. But for change to as I mean, with the bigger the participation, I mean, the conversation has to go around at a larger pace. It happened at the different levels. And then probably the influence will be greater, hopefully. And it will force itself, the conversation will force itself.
Yes,
and there should be some, we cannot, everybody, like I said, driven by self-interest, corporations are alike and politicians are alike, even G7s are alike. In the end of the day, conversation which is beneficial to them. Now, but how do we work bringing that conversation so what our interests are aligned and they can see the benefit of the redesign?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Agree with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Colonel. Thank you, Dr. Sam. I can see collaborations and ideas are already flowing. We're only with the first panel. Let's meet our second panelist. I now invite Oman-based British educator who is a member of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, MBE, awarded by the Order's prestigious medal was awarded by Prince William, the Duke of Cambridge. She has authored The books, Memoirs of an Omani Gentleman in Zanzibar, Love is in Time of Zanzibar, Send of a Rose. She founded the Let's Read program under the auspices of Darulata, and a charity organization in 2007, and she also has an open library. She's a poet, yoga promoter, Reiki healer, and much more. Jane Jaffer.
Thank you very much, Lakshmi. And thank you very much for inviting me to attend this incredibly interesting and incredibly important meeting. As you say, Dr. Sam, you are planting seeds and starting a conversation. And that's a conversation that we all around the world, we all need to have. Quoting from your book, I'm going to ask you two questions, really, basically. You've mentioned the planet and people are the two important things. So quoting from your book, why is it that the fruits of democracy, freedom, justice, capitalism, and technology have not reached the billions at the bottom of the economic pyramid? Inequality, and we've seen it perhaps even more sharply since the COVID pandemic. The gap between rich and poor is growing and growing. How can we address that? And how can we help people to develop a social conscience to try and work to improve the world and improve people's lot, if you like? Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you, Jane. I think the basic problem has been that our approach to everything is top-down. We expect development to percolate down. It doesn't happen. People at the top suck all of the benefits. So we really need a different developmental model. We need Gandhian idea of development, which is really bottom-up, localization, people's participation. And then only development will reach people. If somebody is sitting, for example, in India, in Delhi, decides on how to build road in your neighborhood, that road will never get built. Because the plan would be there, money would be allocated, somebody will eat up the money and you wouldn't even know what happened. Until that community who is going to use the road is responsible for it, it won't happen. Same with education, same with health. So we need decentralization. Earlier, it was not possible because communication technology was not there. Now it is possible because we are connected with all kinds of technologies. And today, if road was to be built, you can put map on satellite and you can find out how much of road is built every day. You couldn't do that earlier. Earlier, people say road has been built in this area. Nobody has ever visited. Nobody knows what you're talking about. Now, information technology brings about openness, accessibility, connectivity, networking, democratization, decentralization. And hopefully that will bring social transformation. So the key is complete decentralization. You don't need mega factories to scale. You need small companies to network to scale. Different model. Today, we still use old model in new technology. If you want to scale, we set up a mega factory. And once you set up a factory somewhere else, all the local jobs are gone. So we need focus on SME, small and medium scale industries. We need local talent. Can be done. We know how to do it. Okay. But we need to change the mindset of people. So the only way to get rid of disparity is to empower people at the bottom of the economic pyramid. You need to give them purchasing power. If they don't have purchasing power, how they can change? They cannot change. So today you have few people who are multi-zillionaires. And while Corona crisis was going on, they were in space capsules exploring space. So, what do you do? Yeah. So I think the basic problem is in our implementation strategy.
To give people power, purchasing power, or any kind of power, democratic power, are you suggesting something like a universal credit for everyone?
Absolutely.
So that,
Absolutely. Yeah. We did that in India in a program called Mahatma Gandhi Rural Employment Scheme, where we gave work to 100 million people, 100 days a year, and that really changed their purchasing power. Okay. It is okay. Nothing wrong with it. It is not a dole. Don't look down on them. Okay. These old economic theories don't work. Okay. You cannot look at everything in terms of GDP, GNP, per capita income. You got to have some other indicators. Okay. Look, today we spend $2 trillion a year on military, and it cost only $200 billion to eliminate hunger. We've been talking about eliminating hunger for 50 years. World Bank, IMF, everybody saying, nobody has done anything. Why? Because there is no organizational architecture to deal with hunger. Hunger is everybody's responsibility. Doesn't work. You set up a global panel on hunger and say you have 10 years to eliminate hunger in the world. 5 years. You can do it in 5 years. But you don't have mission mode approach to problem solving. You have bureaucratic approach to problem solving. So you announce all these great things in the global platforms and media and nothing happens because you don't mean to solve the problem. Okay. You want to give lip service while you are sucking the system. Okay. And that's why rich are richer. Okay.
I like to think that if there is more automation in the workplace, that will give people a chance to actually go out and try and improve the world rather than spending so much time in the workplace doing something, mindless, like,
I agree with you. I think we don't need routine work. We need,
Yes.
See, that is the beauty of hyper-connected world. We will have more meaningful world. Let me give you one example. Okay. In my book, I talk about this a little bit. When self-driven car becomes a reality, let's say next 5 to 10 years, then first thing we would do is will not own a car, because you can order any car you want on your cell phone. It will come on your doorstep. You just sit in and it will take you wherever you want to go. Okay. What it means is I don't need driver's license. I don't need insurance. I don't need garage. I don't need parking space. All over the world, billions of square feet of parking space in heart of the town would be empty. In addition, today I produce 50 million cars a year in the world. But car on an average is parked 90% of the time. So what it means is I really need to produce only 5 million cars a year and not 50 million. It means I don't need that much steel. I don't need that much raw material. I don't need that much labor. Okay. I'll have robots producing my 5 million cars. I don't need drivers. Then the question people are asking is, what would these people do? Oh, they'll do a lot of interesting things. Don't worry about their job. They will explore the world. They will learn. Okay, they will really live life to the fullest. Today, they spend their entire life on production floor, breaking their back. And when they are 65, they have nothing to look forward to. What kind of a life is that? I would rather have them sit at home and watch their roses and read books and meet their grandkids and travel and explore. That is the world I want.
Well, you mentioned your grandchildren and that you've dedicated your book to your grandchildren. And certainly I, as a grandparent, also really hope that the planet that our grandchildren inherit will be better. And of course, it looks like it's going completely in the wrong way at the moment.
That's why we have to rescue.
Sorry?
That's why we have to rescue.
Well, we do have to. And what I want to ask you is, we've seen that the United Nations, for example, has not had the teeth needed to make the changes. And you mentioned we need to sort of have these more horizontal kind of organizations. But how can we establish guidelines and make governments and people comply to actually ensure that our planet survives, if you like, really?
Generate pressure from people like you and me. I mean, let me tell you about UN. I used to go, not anymore. I used to go to this annual meeting of the UN in New York in September as part of the Broadband Commission meetings. That week or 10 days was a total chaos in New York City. Why? Because global leaders fly on their own corporate jets with hundreds of people hanging around with them. Security, guns, sirens, traffic jam in New York. For what? Some guy is going to come and give a 20-minute talk. That leader has no idea what he's talking about because somebody else wrote his speech. He doesn't mean what he says and he doesn't say what he means. Now we know that this can be done with Zoom. All of a sudden, everybody got used to video conferencing. I talk to my grandkids 3 times a day. Look at the power and how we are changing. Okay. So UN does not mean physical presence. It means virtual presence also. But you haven't done that at UN. You and I can't go to UN and address. Why not? We are citizens. We are concerned. Okay. So we got to make those changes. We got to create flat organizations. I can talk to you in Oman today as if I'm almost there. I see your faces. I can feel the vibes. I feel like I'm close to you. I couldn't do that 5 years ago. And even if technology was there without Corona crisis, we wouldn't do this. Now we have gotten used to it. And it works. So I think we need to adapt to change.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Sam. And I like the fact that you said hyperconnectivity in the world, life will become more meaningful. And I think that's what we're all looking forward to. Also conserving our environment, heritage, and culture. Also, we understand SMEs is the future, and that's the only way we can actually guarantee that everybody gets the power to consume or to buy. Now, we've got our next panelist. She's Balqees Al-Hassani, President of Knowledge Oman, another organization that looks at development of human resources and people development. A graduate of science from Sultan Qaboos University, Balqees has over 15 years of experience in education. Balqees heads the well-being and student support services of Al-Sahra schools, one of the leading international private schools in the Sultanate. So, Balqees, we're waiting to hear from you.
Hi, everybody. Am I clear? Does the sound okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you're perfect.
Thank you. Now, I'm sorry about the camera. I think there's some technical glitch with my camera, so forgive me with that.
I was just
hi,
looking for you.
Hi, Dr. Sam, and it's an absolute delight to be part of this wonderful event indeed. Just to exchange the thoughts with the lovely discussion going on, and to be invited to connect with you all on this such a lovely platform. I would go by your belief, Doctor, that transformation of any country requires going back to the roots, have a bottom-up approach, focus on the lower end of the pyramid, and create a model that is sustainable, scalable, and customized to meet the strategic needs and requirements of any country. Now, sustainability requires, that some sort of understanding and awareness, not just only some superficial level, but in a thoughtful manner that carries both acceptance and inclination towards it. I just wanted to ask you, we know of sustainability initiative, which runs now around us. How do you think we can diffuse these initiatives and make it far-reaching? Also, being an educator myself, I'm interested in helping the future leader to understand the need for a sustainable future. So how do you see the future generation perceiving these? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I don't have all the answers.
It's all right.
I'm also learning. Okay, so don't expect me to have all the answers, because I'm just a telecom engineer who happened to just get into this by accident. But I would say we need sustainable or education on sustainability at a family level, at a school level. We are not taught enough about sustainability and its implication on environment. There are several examples. Right from water, how we waste. I'll give you one example. In India, there is a custom. As soon as you go to somebody's house, they give you a glass full of water. Now, water is a scarce resource. People take a sip, leave it there. And I tell them that, do you realize that every day 2 billion glasses of water is wasted in India, drinking water? Why don't you ask somebody, do you need water? If they need, give them like little scotch, 1 pack. Don't be generous on water. That is sustainability. Okay. We waste so much water unnecessarily. And then we complain that we don't have water. We have drought, and in the same area, we have floods in the same season. Okay. So I think sustainability education focus on durable products as opposed to disposable product. I'm one of those who do not like plastic plates, paper cups, just cannot stand it. Because then bottled water. I mean, the bottled water is a solution for the rich. In India, bottled water says, don't worry about water. Rich people have sorted it out. So you buy water for 5 rupees, 7 rupees, 2 rupees, whatever. If I was there, I would not allow bottled water. Okay. Now that's other extreme. I'm not saying that's the solution. Okay. But I think we need to focus on durable solutions and not disposable solutions. And a lot of these things have to be taught in schools, at home. Then people will begin to practice. The area I was born in, called Titilagarh in Orissa, used to be full of green forests, completely green. Today, it is the hottest city in India, a town, not city. You Google it and it's a Titilagarh as the hottest temperature. Why? Cut all the trees, it's stone. Mountains are only full of stones that radiate heat from sun. Why couldn't you plant the trees when you cut? Nobody paid attention. So I think it has to become part of a culture. So that's my answer to sort of your brief question. And I'm sure it's not a complete answer.
No, thank you very much. That was a really nice answer. And I think you are right, promoting the sustainability as in our education, starting from home, that would be the solution. Like the first corning stone, just to start from where it should start from home. So thank you very much. That's indeed a great answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Balqees. And that was a very interesting question, especially coming from an educator, and a very interesting answer. Actually, Dr. Sam, you brought it back to home, and I'm still thinking about the water and how our lifestyles changed with the water bottles coming into the markets, and we don't carry water from home anymore. This is again going back to the basics, I suppose. Our next panelist is Chief Reporter, Assistant News Editor from Muscat Daily. Shaddad has strong market knowledge and is known for his excellent media skills. Prior to his current job, he was at Oman Daily Observer, where he worked as a house desk reporter, local news, and also gained experience in writing features, lifestyle, travel, and society. He is also the holder of Oman Media Award 2013, a very active reporter and a nice writer. Shaddad.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lakshmi.
Thank you.
It's a great honor to be part of this event, actually. Indeed, I like the topic itself, Redesigning the World. The book itself is indeed a mind opener. What affects one affects all of us. This caught my attention. Considering the very idea of global village, this thought is deeply rooted for mankind. We cannot detach ourselves now with the war or tsunami in one part of the world. For example, the chaos in Afghanistan will affect the Indian subcontinent. The Gaza crisis will affect the world.
Absolutely.
The Syrian crisis will affect the EU borders, and inflation in Singapore will affect the stock market in the US. Similarly, a good movie like Parasite, irrespective of the language, appeals to all. Hence, time has come when we cannot be self-centered. And with the current COVID-19 pandemic, I think this has clearly made Dr. Sam's statement so obvious. I also like the concept of the hyperconnectivity. Indeed, rightly said, after death, the only unifying factor among all of us is technology, which has made us connect and know one another better, like what we are doing right now. It has been a bridge of every misunderstanding. I can think of the best and creative ways where hyperconnectivity has been used is through monetization of videos, for example, in YouTube and TikTok and other platforms. Also, your views, Dr. Sam, on the major world organization is very true. For example, WHO, UN, and other big organizations were made with ideas and challenges of times that we do not face much right now.
Mm-hmm.
They have become stagnant and they need change. They need to really change their focus and fight the new challenges that the present times are facing, like environment crisis, free trade, immigration issues, and obviously the current COVID-19 pandemic. I agree with you, Dr. Sam, that the time has come when the world bodies must rethink to train young Omanis, young people to deal with web wars. This will be the latest warfares taking over our personal desktop and smartphones. At the moment, we do not have the clear set of rules and regulations to counter these challenges. So I'd like to know, Dr. Sam, how can we go about this issue? I also agree that the lack of leaders now, we lack proper leaders. Most of the leaders, starting from the corporates to government agencies, I'm sorry to say, lack focus and vision. They are governed by ideologies that are adamant and not flexible at all at the moment. Finally, I just want to say that the earth doesn't belong to man, as you mentioned before, but it is the man who belongs to the earth. So I think we must collectively do our responsibilities well to cater to our earth. And before I sign off, I have a question to Dr. Sam. How can the Arab world be part of this, the move to redesign the world? Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Really appreciate first your presence. Don't underestimate your power. Power of your pen. is more important than you realize. So you can start writing. You can enrich our dialogue. You can ask your other friends in Arab countries to write. And I think we need world to recognize that people in Arab countries are sophisticated, loving, caring. Don't label them. I've traveled there and I'm at home. Okay, when I go there, it's my country. I may not have the same passport, doesn't make any difference. Okay. So I think your role is very important in this journey as a journalist. Write about it, inform people, connect with your colleagues, spread the message, hold conferences, meetings like this, and make people aware that we need to redesign the world. We need inclusive world and not exclusive world. Today, what is happening in the world is truth is suppressed and lies are propagated. Trust doesn't exist, mistrust flourishes. If you and I have a $10,000 deal, we need $50,000 worth of lawyer to set up contracts. It's a funny thing because we don't trust each other. Love is not encouraged, hatred is encouraged. Inclusion has taken over by exclusion. I think that has to change. And you can help us change all that. You can bring to people's attention that the global conversation today is rubbish. It is not about markets. You look at how much space in the media we devote to markets. Money, rich people. We celebrate richest people in the world. We create a list of 500 richest people in the world. We don't have a list of 500 best teachers in the world, 500 best doctors in the world, 500 best journalists in the world, 500 best social activists in the world. So what happens is all young people want to be like the rich one. You ask somebody, what do you want to be? Bill Gates. Okay. We have to change that conversation. We need people to look up to local heroes. We need people to celebrate local successes and not immediately go to global, which you cannot relate to. And I think you can play a very important role in spreading our message. I wish there are more people like you in this conversation. So thank you, and we look forward to your help.
Thank you very much. I'll try my best, and I hope others will also join in and be part of this global change. Thank you very much for your insight.
A very inspired Shaddad Musalmy. Thank you, Shaddad. A very interesting question. And I think the answer is so perfect as a journalist, what you could do. Although we are in competing newspapers and organizations, I think he gave us a good lead there.
There is no competition.
Heroes.
There is no competition, Lakshmi. It is collaboration.
Yeah.
Co-creation.
Yes, I agree.
But that world competition brings in...
should be eliminated.
It's a different thought. We are talking about collaboration. There's enough in this world for everybody.
Of course, of course.
You know, I can't eat everything. Okay.
That
so I
is
must
true.
learn to share.
Yes, but I think that's a fantastic topic, and that is to celebrate local heroes and bring in local role models. And I think you've touched on something very, very important about the 500, Forbes or the millionaires list. It's true. We don't see the teachers of the world. We don't see
Why?
social workers.
Why?
Because I will tell you why also, Dr. Sam, because I'm sure Shaddad will also agree. Sometimes for a news organization or for anything to run, we need advertisers. And then what is the consumer? What do they want? When we talk about health, they say, oh, it's scary. We don't want it. You're depressing. And then you want to talk about some challenges again. But, Bill Gates or millionaires, they make them feel good for some reason. So the challenge remains with us, I think, as media representatives, that we need to package these materials in a different way that is appealing to the readers. So I'm learning, and I'm really, really grateful. Dr. Retnakumar has given me this honor. Now we have yet another person from the education field. Of course, he's also in the business. Dr. Baby Sam Samuel is our next panelist. But before I move to him, I want to extend this opportunity to all our participants. If you have specific questions that is really in your mind, do write it on the chat box, and we will take it up after this session, because we will have a Q&A session. I hope I also get to ask questions. So Dr. Baby Samuel is our next panelist. He's a leader and mentor with over 22 years of international, cross-functional, multicultural expertise, top management. Experiences cut across corporate businesses, nonprofits, and social enterprises in diverse fields such as information technology, media, education, and community welfare. His doctorate is in social entrepreneurship, and he was also the former chairman of the Indian schools in Oman, and is vice chairman of, he was a chairman of Indian schools in Oman. And I want to tell you, Dr. Sam, there are many Indian schools in Oman, and it extends to different parts of the country too. So the Sultanate of Oman's government has been really, really supportive in this field, so that wherever the expatriate is, they have, the potential and the possibility to learn in the Indian central board system, including state board, I think, in one school. So Dr. Sam, we're waiting to hear from you.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Dr. Sam Pitroda, I need to express that I feel immensely proud to be connecting with you on such a platform and discussing the things that needs urgent global attention. I take this opportunity to thank BHAVALAYA and Dr. Retnakumar for the invite. Our actions as countries, as policymakers, communities, as individuals, have so far been, for the most part, reactionary. We react to problems, solving them with innovations that perhaps lead to newer, bigger challenges in the future. I think it is now time to stop reacting and start responding with clarity and purpose, with a holistic view that looks at humans across the world as one common species. And not only that, to look at us as just one species among the millions of species which too needs to exist and thrive. The COVID, as the book says, is already a tipping point. It has exposed, increased, and amplified systemic inequities and inequalities. But along with the trail of destruction and disruption it leaves, it also offers the world the perfect time for resetting our behavior and actions, and offers countries, and indeed all of us, the need and opportunity to revisit our old way of doing things and create new procedures and new processes. As you rightly said, we are still in the 19th century mindset with 20th century processes and trying to address the 21st century needs. So this book, therefore, couldn't have come at a better time. And it is now or never to act on all the action areas brought forward by this book and set in motion its new third vision to create a new world. So we have all felt the need for an urgent change. We felt that someone somewhere should do something. And here is a precise and simple framework for that change. with the same sense of urgency that we feel inside us. So Dr. Sam Pitroda, my first question to you this evening is, as the world grapples with heightened nationalism and fundamentalism, when most leaders themselves are propagating a nation-first or a self-first approach, how can they come together or be brought together to work for an idea that's contrary to their personal or political agenda? Especially, one of the possible long-term impact of COVID is said to be deglobalization. Now, my second question to you today is with regard to the words diversity and inclusion. And these words are often inflated in usage in institutions as well in a corporate setting. While there is more than enough scholarly work to make believe that there is depth of thought and content on these two words, there also exists its breadth, its impact. George Walker, a strong proponent of diversity and inclusion, quotes like this: there is a disconnect between who we say we want to be and the actions and inactions that demonstrates who we are. So which leads us to believe that diversity and inclusion does need concerted effort, breaking down unconscious bias, microaggressive tendencies and silos, and increasing connections. So people often think that steps towards a more diverse and inclusive environment includes massive drastic measures, when in fact it's a calculated journey. In one of your earlier excerpts, you had mentioned technology as a great social and economic leveler. Dr. Pitroda, how do you think technology, which is known to be both transformative and disruptive, can help in collective focus on inclusive growth? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Samuel. Very interesting comments. Thank you for asking those two very critical questions. First, I personally believe world is going through knee-jerk reaction to hyperconnectivity. All these global leaders are beginning to realize that hyperconnectivity is going to empower people. Hyperconnectivity is going to democratize knowledge. Hyperconnectivity is going to increase demand. And the only way they can keep control is to talk about patriotism, is to talk about nationalism. Because they know that cat is out of the bag. It's a matter of time. They are afraid that they are losing their ground. So you look at in India, every time you say something, they'll say you're anti-national. Don't mean a thing. Or you are with Pakistan. You know, what it means is that they are afraid. What happened in America during Trump time was a knee-jerk reaction, saying all the jobs have gone away, there are no jobs for local, so we need to localize and not globalize. I think the real answer is we need localization and globalization. But we need certain things to be localized and certain things to be globalized. We can't blindly globalize everything such that Ganpati statue in India comes from China. I mean, what kind of globalization is that? Okay. So I think this whole business of leadership world over, looking at narrow national interests, has to do with knee-jerk reaction. World is globalized. You can see what is going on in China. You can see what they are teaching. You can see what is going on in Africa. You can see what is going on in Afghanistan every minute. Okay. How can you isolate that? This is exactly what happened to Gorbachev. Okay. And I had a conversation with Gorbachev personally for an hour. with Rajiv Gandhi on this. I said, look, you are forced to talk about perestroika and glasnost because of information technology. Berlin Wall doesn't mean anything when on television, East Berlin fellow can see what is happening in West Germany. What good is the Berlin Wall? That is going on at the global stage today. Leaders are shaken up with all these communication technology. So they are misusing it. They are using it to, promote lies. They are manipulating it. All that will settle down. It is a knee-jerk reaction. Give some time, people like you and me will bring the facts. We will bring to people's attention what is right, what is wrong. They are using old tools in mindset, but new tools in technology. Okay, they want to use social media to promote religion. Social media says, at the other end, I don't care who you are, because I don't have to follow what religion you are following. But can we have a conversation on environment? Can we have a conversation on education? Can we have a conversation on music? The rest of the stuff you do your own. But I treat you with respect and dignity. So I would say all these people have their window. It may be 10 years, it may be 15 years. But going forward, they are the losers. Going forward, those who believe in humanity, believe in democracy, believe in respect for other human beings, believe in equality, will flourish. Because that's what technology is all about. It brings people from all over the world together on a common topic. And when they come on a common topic, they don't care about what food you ate today. You may have had beef and I have had potato and somebody else could have had chicken. What difference does it make? We are talking about environment. Okay. So I think that is the fear in the minds of these political leaders. So they are saying, hey, don't go there. Come here, come here. See, we are all together. See, follow my instructions. Okay. Because they are afraid that the crowd is moving. That's what is going on. So I won't give them too much credit. Okay. That's how I see it.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
It's a great question. It's a very good question. We all have to think about it carefully.
Did you have two questions, Dr. Baby Sam?
Yeah, I think so. First one was about this. Second one was about the globalization. Right?
Yeah,
right.
That's right. I mean, I was also thinking about, how technology can help in collective focus on inclusive growth. Yeah, that's more or less it is. I think we are there. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Thank you, sir. I'm just going to go through the comments and the questions from our participants, the attendees here. Gopiraj Kavilangil writes, water is going to be water is going to be the next oil. It is going to be an expensive resource. We need to address climate change and bringing in hyperconnectivity from transportation to communication, and that could change the world. So that's one comment. Hi, this is from Rajan. Am I right, Rajan? I hope this is your question. We should begin at grassroots level. We should be able to convince the world leaders to build a world institution, start a universal curriculum, compulsory to learn from kids' school, teach them about saving environment, preserving clean water for future.
Our grandparents knew all this. This is not rocket science. Our grandparents knew that water is precious, soil is precious. Okay.
Correct.
We should eat clean food. We should, respect the neighbor. Our grandparents knew all this stuff. We have messed it up.
Very true. I have just one question to reflect with you, Dr. Sam. You brought in Gandhi's policies, and rightfully, he had foreseen all of this way back especially with employment and things like that. And one of them, which you objected, was machinery. He said, I think what I remember reading is that it would take away people's job. However, we are in this era. What do you think he would say, looking at all this technology? And we're talking about robotics, artificial intelligence that could make,
I am glad that it will take away our jobs. Why should I do manual job? Let machine do it. If my job is to paint a car on floor with a spray all day, what a dumb thing to do. Let machine do it. I'm happy, Okay. So I think robots should do all our routine jobs so we can do these things. Talk, meet, cook, garden, go, enjoy life. That's what the next civilization is all about. Next civilization is not about going in a mine and wearing hat and digging coal all my life. Okay. Right. Future civilization will say that, do you know that 200 years ago, people used to do these dumb things?
Yes, and with so much of danger around them.
Yeah. And somebody will say, my great-grandfather, poor guy, did this all his life. And that's where we are in civilization.
We have the next question.
I want to take human civilization to the next level through hyperconnectivity.
But do you think we would be able to successfully connect everybody and as well as educate everybody to move to the digital?
Already happening. We are all connected. When we say we, doesn't mean 100%, but 70% of the people are all connected. It's like anything else. If you are 80% literate, you say you are literate. Okay. But somebody in Amazon River, that's okay. I mean, that's the lifestyle they're selected. I respect that, and we should all respect that, and don't complicate his life. Let him live that life. It is in human interest to let him live that life. Don't try to convert him. Okay. But world is already connected. We are all globalized. Look, when I came to America, there were 4 television channels.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Today, there are 500 television channels. With 4 television channels, I had something to watch. With 500 television channels, I have nothing to watch. Okay. I'm on a video call. Go ahead.
Thank you, Doctor, for giving us your time. And next question from Manoj Manuel. Dr. Sam, in this hyper-connected world, don't you think people are overburdened with communication overload, which can lead to a lack of concentration, confusion, and errors? Do you also assume that there is a political will to redesign the world?
First of all, it is up to you to decide how much information you want. You don't have to be glued to telephone 24 hours a day. It's up to you. You can say, I'll be on phone only for 4 hours a day. Nobody stops you from that.
Yeah.
Let people send you a message. Let them bother you. They'll get used to it. So you are in control. So don't blame anybody else. Okay. You decide how much information you want to take. And if you think it is overload, don't take it. It is there. Okay. It's like looking. If you go in an environment and look, 1,000 trees, it's up to you where you want to focus.
True. Okay, shall we go to the next?
Yeah, next question is political will. Right?
This is from Sheila. Dr. Sam and the complete team, great honor to be part of this event. Being a lawyer in this part of the world, we want to be the part of redesign and to be the voice for the voiceless. Please suggest a structure to start. She's from UAE.
What was the last sentence?
We would like to be part of redesign, to be the voice for the voiceless. Please suggest a structure to start. What can she do to be part of this?
First you read the book, understand the principles. You internalize that, saying, yes, I believe in inclusion. You have to internalize. Okay. Yes, I believe in brotherhood. Yes, I believe in truth. If you don't believe in any of these things, it won't happen. Okay. Once you believe in it, you then try to convince your family, try to convince your friends, neighbors, community. That's how things get multiplied. Things don't get multiplied by your getting a position in an organization to redesign. It has to start from bottom down. I do 4 or 5 of these a day. And my wife says, why are you wasting your time on this? She says, look, for 10 hours a day, you do this thing day in, day out. Why do you do it? Because it needs to be done. Today, I started at 7 in the morning. Okay. The only time I got up is in between was to go to washroom. It is 12 o'clock very soon. 5 hours. Okay. Why? Because it needs to be done. Okay. I may change nobody out of this. That's okay. But I feel I made a genuine effort.
Yes.
If all of us did that, can you imagine how fast it would multiply? But I know out of 50 people, maybe 2 will agree and do something. 50 will talk, 15 will complain, 5 will take initiative, 2 will do it. But that's okay. That's perfectly normal. Okay. This process has to continue.
Actually, Dr. Sam, I think a lot of people are inspired, and you might be surprised with
I'm
the
happy.
outcome.
I'm
Yes.
happy.
Dr. Rajat Ghosh from Muscat says, thanks a lot for the opportunity. Thanks, Sam, sir, for being so generous with your time this evening. A review of the book in the Hindu, the newspaper, had the title, Redesign the World, a global call to action review, a radical form of humanism, the Sam Pitroda way. I will be grateful if you kindly highlight on what may be radical in your approach.
I don't think there's anything radical about it. It is human. To me, there's nothing radical. It's just human. For me to respect you is very human. For me to accept your differences is very human. For you and I to have disagreement is very human. Okay. But that doesn't make me your enemy. That doesn't make me, angry. That doesn't make me jealous. Okay. I enjoy our differences. Okay. Because to me, life is a journey. In that journey, more people I meet, more experiences I have, more fulfilling life I have. At the end of the day, according to me, 3 things matter. Work, nothing to do with 9 to 5 job. Work meaning sweep your floor, cook your food, polish your shoes, go to office, drive your car, go grocery shopping, talk to your grandchildren. It's all work. Second, love. Love everything. Love your cup of tea, love your neighbor, love your enemy, love your books, love your garden, love your, dog, love your, friends. Just love everybody unconditionally. Doesn't matter what they do. They can criticize you, they can, hate you, they can, say bad words about you. Don't make any difference. And third, fulfillment. At the end of the day, you should feel that you had a good day. That's what matters in life. The rest of the stuff doesn't matter, really. So I don't think there's anything radical about this. It is just human.
But do you think capitalism, for example, they need competition? Would they think this is like far-fetched, and how would they make a profit?
No, they can make profit. But to make profit, you don't have to hurt somebody. To make profit,
yes,
you don't have to pay less to your employees. You made $50 million profit. Why don't you share 20 million with people? Because they'll be richer and the community will be richer. What would you do with all this money anyway?
And they'll have the buying power too.
Yes, the community would. See, it is good for me to have my community prosper. Because then I enjoy my community. How can I live in a community where I'm the only richest guy and everybody else is poor? How can I enjoy that? I don't get it. Okay. Same with the family.
Do pardon me for the interruption there. Jane Jaffer is asking, can we create a pledge for each of us to take? I think that's a beautiful question too.
Can we create what?
A pledge.
Yeah, I would be the first one to say yes. You tell me what you want me to pledge.
Jane, what do you want?
Well, I think, obviously we want governments to pledge to change. So as you said, it should be bottom up, grassroots. So if we have some kind of a pledge, someone needs to create a pledge that then we can, wear that badge of honor, if you like, wear that to say that we've pledged to do certain things, as you say, like to love each other and to care about the world, to educate, spend time helping people improve their lot, improve the world. I think that would be a good start.
Then, can I request you to draft one?
Oh, okay, I'll try.
You have the book, you have the manifesto. I don't know whether you have the book. If you don't, I'll send it to you. Okay?
Yes, I have. That's fine. Thank you.
From that, why don't you draft one? We'll talk about it and it will be a good start and we'll connect. Lakshmi,
Yes.
make sure I connect with Jen sometime.
Sure, she's a writer and a poet, so it'd be perfect.
No, but the
Thank
idea
you.
is good.
Wonderful.
Let her write it.
Yes, let her write it. I'll be in touch with you, Jen, and I'm sure
This is how
Dr.
we multiply. You see? Thanks, Jen.
Thank you very
Great.
much.
Now, the next question, Dr. Vindya Singh from Muscat. I would like to know your thoughts on the Gross National Happiness Index, which King Jigme Singh Wangchuk introduced in 1972 and which UN unanimously adopted as a General Assembly resolution in the year 2011. Do you think this can be developed as a yardstick for encouraging inclusiveness?
I agree with the idea. I've seen a lot of work done by Dr. Amartya Sen and others for the French president. I've seen their report. I'm not an economist, but I would say I always look for happiness in life
Sure.
versus profit. Okay, if somebody stole a little bit from me, I have no problem with it. Okay, I won't get jealous. I won't worry about it, It's okay. Because I have enough to live comfortably. What can I ask for? I can't use all of it because I don't do anything to spend money. My wife buys all my clothes. If I have a hole in my socks, she buys me new socks. I don't do anything except work and I enjoy what I do. So if I had a lot of money, what would I do with it?
True. We have a lot more questions, but I just want to say we are running out of time. It's almost midnight for Dr. Sam in Chicago. And there's something.
No, it's not midnight, it's 12 o'clock, but don't worry, you decide.
12 o'clock. Okay. So.
The afternoon.
Okay, all right. But I've been told to
it is
sort of
a long time.
Yes, wrap it
I
up.
didn't expect this to last 2 hours.
Yeah, I didn't realize it's 2 years, 2 hours. This is fantastic, listening to you, Dr. Sam, and the panelists. Beautiful
I
questions.
think you all are very good at interacting. I enjoy interacting with you.
Thank you.
I mean,
And,
Jen, Dr. Samuel all had good questions. Dr. Abdul, Wahab, even your journalist had some great ideas.
Yes.
Wonderful panel.
So what we're going to promise you is that all these questions that have come to us, we will be taking it up to Dr. Sam, and BHAVALAYA will be responding to you back with his questions. And the email address is chairman, CHAIRMAN at BHAVALAYA, BHAVALYA.org. You can give that, and we will also put it in the chat box for you to follow it up. And BHAVALAYA will follow it up for you with Dr. Sam, because I think it's a great opportunity you've given us. However, I will take this last question to wrap it up before the vote of thanks. From Shakil Hassan, how to practically empower people at the bottom of the pyramid, the less fortunate, the underprivileged ones across the globe? I think that's a very good question. And even here, whatever you say, I think it's up to the media to take it to that level. And I think that's the next level for the media, how to reach out to everybody and not just cater to one sector of the society. Dr. Sam, what would you like to say to this question from Shakil?
I would say we need to empower civil society. because there are a lot of good people who work with people at the bottom of the economic pyramid. They are voluntary organizations. We need to empower them. We need to listen to them. We need to give them support. And maybe 10%, 20% are not as good as we would want, but that's okay. That's perfectly all right. Unless and until we empower civil society, we cannot reach out to people at the bottom of the economic pyramid, because they are in the community, they are working with them. We can't reach out to everybody, but can we really empower civil society? Listen to them, support them, give them proper listening. I think that's one way to empower civil society. And
thank you.
People at the bottom of the economic pyramid. Okay.
Dr. Sam, before I leave you, you mentioned three things. I got the second one is to love completely. And then third, most importantly, fulfillment. I seem to have missed the first one.
Work.
Work, of course.
Let me tell you, as an example, I start my work every day first by sweeping floor. I sweep floor every day, 365 days. I make my own bed, because then I know at least something got done. It is fulfilling. Okay? I think we all need to learn to do those little things in life. Whatever those little things are, it is work,
Yes. So we'll use these three to develop ourselves to reach to the objective that you have, and that is to the redesigning of the world. And I would like to say thank you so much, Dr. Sam. I've learned so much tonight, and I've read your books and your podcast. I want to tell everyone, do listen to the podcast. Again, it's a learning experience. And Dr. Retnakumar, thank you so much for joining. And I can see many things are going to come up. An institute in Oman on redesign, and a World Institute also maybe. And Jane will be drafting the pledge, which inshallah we'll all be taking. So much of excitement. Dr. J. Retnakumar, you must be really happy with the outcome. And
I want to come to Oman one of these days. I've never been there.
Oh yeah, we're opening up on September 1st.
I've been to Bahrain, I've been to Dubai, I've been to Saudi, I've been to Abu Dhabi, everywhere. But for some reason, I've been to Doha, but I have not been to Oman.
Please come to Oman.
One of these days.
Yes, yes. We will plan it. We will plan it.
Yes, we'll be there at the airport to receive you.
Yeah.
And to conclude this wonderful evening, I would like to invite Annie Melinda on behalf of BHAVALAYA to pronounce vote of thanks. Annie? You have to unmute.
Well, thank you, Lakshmi. Ladies and gentlemen, let me quote William Faulkner. Gratitude is a quality similar to electricity. It must be produced and discharged, and it should be used up in order to be existent at all, unquote. So I believe life turns out to be a lot more meaningful and fulfilling when we begin to be thankful for everything around us, including each other. So on behalf of BHAVALAYA, let me extend my thanks to each one of you for being present here. Dr. Sam Pitroda, we very much want to see you in Oman very soon. You're most welcome out here. Your speech was profoundly resonating and is sure to stay in our minds. You've awakened us of why we need to remove the labels that have persisted for centuries together and think of a new design, of why we need to dream and dream collectively, inclusively. The idea of Institute of Redesign is surely something that we would look forward to, and it was a pleasure to have you as a guest of honor. The depth of your thoughts clearly amazes us and sets a direction for us to choose to take. So our sincere gratitude to you on behalf of everybody present here. Thank you so much, Dr. Sam.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much again.
Bye. Don't forget, Jen, you have an assignment.
Let me say a word of thanks to our panelists, Colonel Dr. Abdul Wahab al-Balushi, Mr. Shaddad al-Musalmy, Dr. Baby Sam Samuel, Ms. Jane Jaffer, Ms. Balqees Al-Hassani, Dr. Sandhya Mehta. You definitely added colors to the program. Thank you for your thought-provoking insights. Your support and contribution to the program is taken with much, much gratitude. And the participants, of course, you've been amazing. Thank you for so much of interaction that you created. Thank you for your forthcoming interest in the program. Did you know that you've just encouraged us to conduct many such programs in future? And hopefully we shall join hands in collective redesign. Well, hoping to meet you all soon in yet another platform soon.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Dr. Retnakumar, you've been phenomenal in planning and organizing the event. Your thought leadership is a guiding light to all of us. Lakshmi, you've been an amazing moderator as ever. Thank you so much. Your spontaneity is just amazing, phenomenal work that. My thanks to Habin. He's been managing the Zoom platform exceptionally well behind the screens. He's done an amazing job. If you could see the spotlighting and the amazing work on screen, quick and then just prompt. So my thanks to Habin, who's out here managing it. And wrapping up, remembering the words of John F. Kennedy, the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. So hopefully we should be able to create a redesign university where we can all pull together, bring our thoughts, put our actions in place. With all the thoughts heard, it's difficult to not carry them forward in the path that we tread. Good evening to all of you and a blessed week ahead. Thank you so much.
Colonel Dr. Abdul Wahab wants to say something.
Please.
Well,
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Anyway, I also would like to thank everybody, and I'd like to thank everybody who said all these good things. I mean, the redesign club is a good idea in Oman. Probably we can take this a little further and think. And
I will come back to you.
Yeah.
You have the seed, and maybe we could sort of here try to plant a small seed here, and from it, because in the end of the day, this conversation and the whole idea is, and I'm very inspired by the fact how much time and energy you put into trying to get this idea across. And I think one of the things that we could do here in Oman is see whether we can start to get this conversation going at a wider level and try to maintain it. And maybe that conversation will help giving root to more conversations. So the idea would be probably the redesign club here in Oman would be a good one.
Absolutely.
That's
done. I will send you a PowerPoint presentation that I have.
Excellent. Thank you.
He's
Thank you.
the right.
Honor. It's been an honor.
He's the right candidate, Dr. Sam, because he's flying
I can feel the vibe.
in a few minutes time to the USA.
I can feel the vibe.
He's coming to USA. Maybe you both will move there.
Come see me in Chicago.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you again.
Please.
Thank you. Thank
Dr.
you.
Ratnakumar, give him my number.
Yes. I will give you, sir. I will give you. We will
I love this.
discuss this in detail.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Love you all.
Beautiful. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Retnakumar. Excellent.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent program, Doctor. Very good. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We will have more of such sessions in future. Yeah.
Very informative.
Yeah.
Thank you for the initiative taken, Dr. Ratnakumar.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. India. Thank you. You are the
Thank you, Doctor.
beginning. Yeah.
We're all behind you. So don't worry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have to do it. That is what Dr. Sam told. Dr. Sam Pitroda told. We have to do it. That is the thing.
Somebody has to do. Somebody has to make it starting.
Yeah. Shaddad ji. Shaddad. Yeah.
Yes, Doctor.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful evening.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity. A big honor indeed.
Yeah. Very enlightening event. Huh?
If you can do me a favor and send me the video, maybe I'll try to write something from Dr. Sam's inputs. We'll publish something in the paper space.
Yeah. We will discuss it this week.
Inshallah. No problem.
Okay.
Thanks.
So, okay, all the best.
Good night.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Advocate Sheila.
Good night, sir. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Thank you, Ulas. Thank you.
Very good. Very wonderful conversation, actually. It
Yeah.
was
Thank you,
beautiful.
Sonia. Yeah.
All right, full.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.